I'd like to call the Onslow County Board of Commissioners regular meeting from Monday, August 17th, 2026 to order at this time. And we'll ask our county attorney, Mr. Brett DeSelms, to provide the invocation. Mr. DeSelms?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you and conduct the business of Onslow County. Please guide our board as they address the matters on today's agenda. We pray for your blessing and favor of our teachers and students as they return to the classroom for the upcoming school year. May all we do this day bring you honor and glory. Amen. Now, with deep respect and reverence for the faiths, beliefs, and traditions of those gathered here tonight, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to take a minute to recognize all the elected officials with us this evening. We have a few. I'd like to welcome Richland's Town Alderman, Ms. Marilyn Bunce. She's here with us tonight. Town of North Topsail Beach Mayor Rick Grant and newly appointed Town Alderman Fred Fontana. Welcome. Mayor Pete Parnian from Holly Ridge. And we have Vice Chair from the Board of Education, Mr. Bradley Williams, and Board of Education member, Ms. Michelle Halley. So we appreciate everyone being here tonight, including Register of Deeds Omega Jarman, as well as Sheriff Chris Thomas. So I think we've got everybody here in the house. So we appreciate everyone being here this evening. And we'll move on to asking everyone to silent your cell phones or place in vibrate mode. And now we need an adoption of the agenda for tonight.
Second.
We got a motion to.
No, well, that's consent.
Consent. Okay, that's fine. Okay, all right. So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. So now we'll move to approval items on the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, motion to amend the agenda to add item 2E, agreement between Onslow County Board of Education, Onslow County Sheriff for the School Resource Officers Program.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the amendment? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those opposed? Hearing none. Mr. Buchanan?
Motion to adopt the agenda as amended.
So moved.
Motion and a second to approve the consent agenda as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? We are there. So the consent agenda has been adopted. So the board offers the public one opportunity to speak during the meeting. Comments should be limited to no more than 5 minutes and may be on any issue on which the Board of Commissioners has control. In accordance with the board's adopted rules of procedure, citizens shall address all comments to the board as a whole and not one individual commissioner. Commissioners shall reserve responses, if any, for the commissioner period on the agenda. So we're at item 3, public comment. Mr. Eaton, do we have anyone signed up this evening?
Yes, sir. We have 3 individuals. First one is Wesley Hart.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Hey, I really appreciate you guys' service. I really do. When I retired in 2005, I could have retired anywhere in the United States, anywhere. The Marine Corps would have moved me anywhere I wanted to do it. And I weighed my different options. And even though the jobs weren't here, housing was affordable and taxes were good. However, that has drastically changed. Not just for me, but for everybody. In 2022, my real estate taxes went up 27.3%. Without this year, without the Senate bill, it would have went up another 7.6%. So in 5 years, that went up 36.9%. Now, I'm a very fortunate individual. I can afford to pay the additional property tax. but I talk to a lot of people that can't. It's the difference between putting food on the table or keeping their property. And it's just wrong. And how did we get there? I was looking at the different audits, and in 2022, the fund balance available was $115,544,801. It was 50.6% of our budget, which comes out, and they compare it to the equivalents to Onslow County, and we're about 6% higher than the average. In 2025, it's ballooned up to $187,606,969 million, or 63.67% of that budget. The average there was 47%. So where the tax increase, the property tax increase, we collected $110 million in 2022. Without a mill rate increase, in 2025, we collected $143,743,000, or almost $33 million more in money. Sales tax, $72,969,000. 2025, $81,683,534, over $9 million. So we increased it $42 million. $42 million. With that fund balance of doing, what happened is that we've been overcharging people for taxes. To look at the three priorities that you guys have: a $75 million hub, a $40 million indoor recreation center, and $30 to $50 million of park improvement. And I looked at the park improvement plan, and I read that, and it was based off a study in 2020 during COVID. They got 400, their goal was to get 400 surveys back. They got 426. And out of the people that they were surveyed, 24% said an indoor recreation center. 24%. That's 102 people. So out of the whole county, we're talking 102 people said it was a good idea to build it. And then we're going to build it right up the road here in the middle of nowhere. And I wonder, on the people that live at Topsail and Holly Ridge, how many people are actually going to use that? That's $40 million. If we were to do finance it with general obligation bonds, you would have to get and put it on a referendum to the voters. The talks that I've talked to people about these three initiatives, three of the top 6 initiatives of the county, I haven't met one person in favor of it. Not one. And it's absolutely crazy. I'm asking you guys to put this up for a referendum. Before we spend money on an indoor recreation fillers, take it to the voters. That's $40 million. That's absolutely crazy. I have more stuff in here on past spendings. We have not done a good job as a county. The public doesn't really understand, but that's my thing. Take these initiatives to the voter on whether or not they really, really want it. Thank you.
Next person is Danielle Cornell. Daniel Cornell.
Daniel.
How you doing, Mr. Chairman? The commissioners, thank you very much for your service to this community and for allowing me to speak. Tonight, I want to talk about what happens when an ordinary citizen tries to get a very ordinary answer from his government. For the past several weeks, I have been trying to answer one basic question about the automated license plate readers being operated by the Onslow County Sheriff's Office. Where did the money come from? I have been told that these cameras were paid for with grant funding. Okay, then I would like to see the grant. That should have been simple. Instead, I now have 2 public records requests concerning this program denied and closed. My first request sought administrative records concerning the program, including contracts, funding records, policies, training materials, agreements, audits, and other administrative information. I was denied. The Sheriff's Office cited North Carolina law protecting captured license plate data. There was one problem. I wasn't asking for captured license plate data, so I went back and tried again. This time I made the distinction unmistakable. I specifically excluded captured plate data. I excluded individual vehicle information, investigative queries, and other protected information. I wanted administrative records, evaluation records, funding records, policies, audits, oversight. And that request was closed and denied too. The explanation I received was that Onslow County does not contract with Flock. Cool. I didn't say a word about Flock. So after 2 attempts, I still don't have the records, and I still don't have the answer to the simplest question of all. Where did the money come from? Commissioners, this should not be this difficult. That's when this became even harder for me to understand. In October 2024, First Baptist Church of Swansboro donated $5,000 to the Sheriff's Office for drone equipment. $5,000. The Sheriff's Office publicly announced it, and the Sheriff publicly thanked the church and its congregation. When Marine Federal Credit Union contributed $30,000 towards the Sheriff's Office drone program, that received public attention too. Previous funding for body camera technology was also publicly discussed, and I think it's great. When an outside organization or grant helps our sheriff office obtain equipment, tell us all about it. That's something a law enforcement agency can be proud of. But here's what I can't reconcile. I've been unable to locate a comparable public announcement identifying the grant that supposedly paid for these license plate readers. And after 2 public records requests, I still haven't been provided documentation identifying it. I'm not standing here accusing the sheriff or anyone in the sheriff's department about lying about this grant. I'm not accusing anyone of deliberately concealing it. I don't have evidence to make either accusation, and that would be foolish. I'm asking for the paperwork. What grant paid for these cameras? Who awarded it? How much was awarded? Who applied for it? Who accepted it? When was it accepted? Was there a county match? Where is the award letter? Where is the grant agreement? Where is the accounting trail showing how these cameras were paid for? Those aren't questions about license plate or questions about an investigation. They're not questions about where somebody drove last Tuesday. They're questions about government administration and money, and that's why I'm bringing this to you tonight. I've tried the ordinary process, I've submitted the requests, I've clarified what I was seeking, and I've specifically excluded the protected information that I was told I cannot have, and I still don't have an answer. So I'm asking this board for something very simple. Find the grant. Find out what was purchased and how it was paid for, and make the non-confidential administrative records available to the public, because I shouldn't have to become a forensic accountant just to find out who paid for 12 cameras. $5,000 for drone equipment was worth telling the public about. $30,000 for drone program is absolutely necessary to tell the public. Federal funding for body cameras was worth shouting at the rooftops. So if grant money paid for these license plate readers, tell us. Tell us who provided it, tell us how much, show us the grant. Because if there is a perfectly ordinary explanation for all of this, transparency ends this controversy. Secrecy only feeds it. After 2 denied and closed public records requests, I think the citizens of Onslow County have earned something remarkably simple: an answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cornell. Mr. Eaton?
Rebecca Cooper.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I do want to be clear that I understand the automated license plate cameras were purchased and installed by the Onslow County Sheriff's Office, not directly by this board. But you are the people that residents look to when they have a serious concern about transparency, the use of taxpayer money, and the direction of our county. $38,000 is not a small amount of money to the people of Onslow County. For many families, it's the cost of a dependable new car. For this county, it could have funded specialized training for law enforcement officers, protective equipment such as ballistics plates, the initial training of a K-9, or increased support for organizations like One Place that serve children who've been victimized. Instead, the money was used to install 12 automated license plate reader cameras throughout our county. These cameras were installed without meaningful public notice and without people of this county having an opportunity to decide whether they wanted this form of surveillance in their communities. This isn't about a camera catching someone who committed a crime. These systems collect and store information on the vehicles of ordinary people, people going to work, taking their children to school, going to church, visiting family, attending medical appointments, or simply driving through their own county. Just because technology makes this possible does not mean the government should use it. The lack of transparency is just as concerning. When public records are difficult to obtain, residents are naturally going to ask what's being hidden, who has access to this information, how long is it kept, and who reviews the audit logs. And these concerns are not hypothetical. Law enforcement officers in our very own state have already been arrested for misusing these camera systems for personal, non-law enforcement purposes. I'm not here tonight to assign responsibility for the purpose. I'm here because residents deserve transparency, answers, and the public conversation that should have happened before these cameras went up. The people of Onslow County should not have to accept mass surveillance simply because it has already been installed. The cameras should come down. The people of Onslow County deserve safety, but they also deserve privacy, freedom of movement, and a county government that does not treat every resident as someone who must be tracked. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Mr. Eaton?
That concludes public comment.
Thank you, sir. So we'll move to item 4. We have 2 public hearings that are scheduled this evening, and the first one is the Sunset Sands conditional rezoning, and Mr. Carter Metcalf will present this item.
Good evening, Chairman and Board of Commissioners. So the first item for the rezoning section of tonight's meeting will be the Sunset Sands Conditional Rezoning Series Z 2026 number 3. The applicant is Thomas Engineering and the owner is A-Sides Construction Incorporated. An overview of the conditional rezoning request number 3 is a requested zoning change from highway business, or HB, and residential 5, or R5, to conditional zoning highway business, or HBCZ 767-9.2. 2 tax map numbers in question, 767-9.2 and 767-9.12. It's located off of NC Highway 210 and in the Stump Sound Township. The rezoning area is not the total area of both parcels. Rather, it is a split zoning request, and therefore the rezoning area is 20.15 acres of the total of the 2 parcels. When we look at the existing use, is vacant and forested. There is a 10-inch Onslow water main along Highway 210, as well as also a sewer force main. The fire service for the property is Turkey Creek with an ISO rating of 4. Our most recent traffic count that's closest to this property comes from 2024 with a trip count of 10,500. Staff estimates the capacity at 14,000. As well as also when we look at the state prioritization cycle, there is a proposed widening of NC 210 that will widen from the intersection with US 17 just south of the intersection of Old Folkestone Road. The project is funded with an estimated construction date of 2034. When we look at the schools serving the property, it's Coastal Elementary, Dixon Middle School, and Dixon High School. All the schools are currently over capacity, but with this proposed rezoning being commercial in nature, we would not estimate any new students for the school system unless it was a multifamily development. Here, when we look at the rezoning area, you can see the property there is currently in that purple designation, or R5, and then also a portion in the HB designation. And the area with the black cross-hatching is the 20 acres of the parcel for the property. Here we compare the 2 zoning districts. HB, there's no minimum lot size. It does allow multifamily at 20 units per acre. And its purpose is to accommodate regional scale commercial uses and foster economic development along our major highway corridors. There's a variety of uses for this and a variety of non-residential uses. So we compare residential 5, it has a 5,000 minimum lot size, as well as the same density for multifamily as highway business. Here, its purpose is to accommodate moderate to high density single-family residential developments. And when we look at multifamily, it would be up to 20 dwelling units per acre. Here, this proposed conditional zoning district, or HBCZ 767-9.2. Its purpose is to provide for compatible commercial development by modifying the standard highway business zoning district and by prohibiting certain land uses and while selecting certain uses by right. It continues to, for the residential uses, continues to allow multifamily. Multifamily is already allowed, and it would continue to allow that, as well as also has a variety of non-residential uses included in your packet as attachment 1. It goes through the table of permitted uses and which ones would change designations and which one would not. There's a variety of uses that have been removed, such as some that relates to boat storage or dry stacks, as well as also tobacco shops have been removed, and there's some that have been changed from a special use permit over towards permitted by right. And there's a variety of uses there to include some manufacturing uses, bed and breakfasts, breweries and distilleries, and bars have also been changed. Take a look at the comprehensive plan. It's designated waterside community. And its intent is to identify those areas of the unincorporated county that have that nexus between the land and the water and our heritage as a working waterfront community, and honoring that legacy and promoting uses that certainly advance both residential and commercial development. As we look at the non-residential section of our land use and development summary, we would want certainly zoning that would promote small commercial and service uses that would serve those coastal neighborhoods and support tourism, and again, honor that heritage of having working waterfronts. Here we can look at our comprehensive plan, Onslow Horizon 2040. And you can see this whole section there south of Old Folkestone Road, especially along our 210 corridor, they're given that waterside community designation. The property there above us is conservation, and that is Onslow County owned property. And then as we go towards north, that orange designation is the village category, where we want to see, again, a town center for the Scenes Ferry area. When we look at environmental conditions, we can see here there are blue line streams on the property, as well as also regulated flood zones. There's no wetlands have been submitted to county at this time, but those certainly would be a part of the development review process. When we look at reasonableness in the public interest, is an important factor when we weigh all rezonings. Here we can see that it is certainly potentially reasonable because highway business does align with the non-residential land use and development summary. Therefore, it could be considered appropriate for our future land use map. We want to proactively manage growth and guide new development. There are some aspects of the infrastructure in this area of Scenes Ferry that would be able to support the new development. We look as well at Objective 6.2. We want to promote a wide range of commercial activity throughout the county at appropriate locations, and having highway business along a major highway corridor will certainly be one of those locations. And also Objective 6.3, we want to encourage industrial and economic development and in general have a pro-growth attitude. Objective 2.4 will certainly be a non-supporting objective. All schools in this area are currently over capacity, and there certainly is the potential for a multifamily development. But that potential currently already exists on the property. This rezoning would not change that fact. And Objective 6.1, we want to promote a broad range of housing types. There would be a limited or more limited allowed residential types with the proposed rezoning than what is currently allowed in R5. The Planning Board met on June 4th and recommended unanimously approval of the request. No citizens spoke at the meeting. We did have one email sent in expressing concerns of multifamily development from a nearby owner. No military impacts, though, were presented during the Planning Board meeting, and our remarks from our Chairman of Planning Board are as follows. There is a 20.15 acre parcel, which is part of an over 600 acre parcel located on Highway 210 in the Stumptown Township. It's currently zoned HB and R5 and is proposed to be rezoned to conditional HB. This request will result in split zoning. The property is currently owned by A Sides Construction, and the petitioner's representative spoke and explained the only specific uses would be permitted under rezoning, which would include multifamily and various retail and service businesses. There was a neighborhood meeting held and 6 citizens attended, at which concerns and questions about the type of development, its road access, existing wetlands, and required buffering. There was 1 letter opposing the inclusion of multifamily housing. Otherwise, there were no other public comments. The rezoning was found to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. Here you can see an aerial of the surrounding area and see the proposed 20-acre frontage that's proposed to be rezoned. You can see its proximity there to other commercial development. It's there just north of a utility substation and as well north of North Shore and right across from an apartment complex. Here we see where we posted the sign for tonight's meeting. Then a little bit of a wider view of what the property looks like if you were driving by on Highway 210 headed towards North Topsail Beach. This is the conditional site plan that was submitted that shows the proposed split zoning and shows the area there in the darker red is, again, what aligns with what has been submitted so far of the 20 acres being proposed to be rezoned. And we'll go through the conditions. So the first condition is staff recommends any proposed future subdivision that be reviewed through the appropriate subdivision review process to include concept, preliminary plan, and final plat, as outlined in the Onslow County subdivision ordinance. So there certainly could be proposed subdivisions, such as a commercial subdivision or a residential one, and we want to make sure that they follow the appropriate processes. Staff also recommends any proposed non-residential development be reviewed under the appropriate site plan review process as outlined in the Onslow County zoning ordinance, whether it be major, minor, or basic. Again, ensuring any sort of commercial development is being held to the standards of the Onslow County zoning ordinance. Staff recommends that any proposed use within the conditional zoning district be subject to the additional required standards pursuant in Article 9 of the Onslow County zoning ordinance. Therefore, any sort of use would have to adhere to the same standards as in the rest of the county. Condition 4, the Planning and Development Director may allow minor amendments to the application without submittal of the entire package as long as it does not alter that basic relationship or any of the conditions that are there included for tonight, such as would allow a decrease in density or intensity, but we would not allow an amendment that would, for example, eliminate a buffer. Condition number 5, the applicant proposes to restrict the table of permitted uses to those specifically identified in the table of permitted uses for the conditional highway business zoning district, and it's been submitted with the application and has been provided as attachment 1. So as respectfully requested, the Board of Commissioners consider the proposed conditional zoning map amendment of Series Z 2026 number 3. And consider the condition resolution for the amendment, adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment, and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. We'll now open the public hearing. Mr. Eaton, do we have anyone that has signed up to speak?
Yes, sir. We have one individual, Mr. John Thomas.
Good evening. John Thomas. I'm with Thomas Engineering out of New Bern. My address is 1316B Commerce Drive, New Bern 28562. That's my office, not where I live. I don't really have anything to add. I represent the owner of this property, A Sides, and I guess we were the applicant on this, Thomas Engineering. Again, I don't have anything to add, but I'd be glad to answer any questions. As far as the conditions that were listed out in front of you all, we're all in agreement with those. We accept those. Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas. No others signed up?
No, sir.
Okay, so we'll close the public hearing and bring the matter to the commissioners at this time.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Metcalf, we'll bring you back for the next one for the hearing on Richlands Heights 2 conditional rezoning.
Thank you, Chairman. So we have before you the Richland Heights 2 conditional rezoning, or Series Z 2026 number 4. The applicant is Ward Construction Incorporated, and the owner is Richland Jackson's Ward LLC. So we take an overview of conditional request number 4. The requested change is from rural agricultural RA and residential 8 manufactured R-8M to a conditional zoning residential 10 or R10CZ 30-108. Tax map number in question is 30-108. It's located off of Kingston Highway and Richlands Loop Road and is located in the Richlands Township. The total rezoning area is 117.19 acres, or the total parcel. The existing use of the property is vacant. We take an overview of the service area for the subject rezoning. Water is to be provided by Northwest Onslow, or at least is generally provided in that area of the county. Properties in that general area are served by individual septic systems. However, the applicant is proposing for the subject property to be served by Onwassa Sewer. When we look at the fire service for that area, Northwest Onslow, also known as Richlands there, the ISO rating is 4. Look at our most recent traffic count comes from Kingston Highway and is close to the property. Comes from 2023 with a trip count of 17,000. Staff estimates the capacity to over 35,000. Schools serving the property are Richlands Elementary, Trexler Middle School, and Richlands High School. So we look at the proposed capacity for those schools. Richlands Elementary, Trexler Middle have capacity, while at this time Richlands High School would be projected to be over capacity. Here you can see the proposed area, and as well as also the zoning districts. RA there in that lime green color makes up a majority of the property. There you can see in the light red is the R-8M sections of the property. It splits in this way because this property was a series of properties that were recombined. When you move a property line though, it does not move a zoning line. That can only be done through this process. We compare our zoning districts here. One of the current zoning districts is rural agriculture, and its purpose is to maintain that rural development pattern that preserves the agricultural character of the county. Minimum lot size is 20,000 square feet and allows for a single-family residential development, as well as also a variety of non-residential uses. Comparatively, the second zoning district that is on the property is residential 8 manufactured. And it allows for moderate to high density single family and multifamily residential developments with a specific emphasis on manufactured housing. Its minimum lot size is 8,000 square feet, allows multifamily at a density of 10 dwelling units per acre by special use permit. As well, also allows for manufactured home parks by special use permit as well. The proposed zoning district is a conditional zoning district residential 10, or R10CZ 30-108. And its purpose is to accommodate a moderate density single family residential development of 259 units. Minimum lot size would be 10,000 square feet. And again, that density would cap out at 259 units. The residential uses would be single family, as well as also some non-residential uses that would be corresponding with the residential 10 designation. You can see there the multifamily would not be one of the allowed uses. Look at the comprehensive plan. The property is designated as suburban growth, and suburban growth's intent is to provide for moderate density residential development and supporting non-residential development as we continue to grow out from our urban growth areas and our municipalities. We'll look at the land use and development summary in the residential category. See that single family residential development, specifically when we look at major subdivisions, we want to see a density of 4 to 5 dwelling units per acre, or multifamily at a density of 8 to 10. The base zoning district of residential 10 is a corresponding zoning district to our comprehensive plan of suburban growth. Here you can see the property is given that suburban growth designation. While as we start to transition away from rich lands, you start to transition to that rural residential category or the agricultural and forestry category. You can see the property as it relates to the environmental conditions. There are no blue line streams on the property, as well as also no regulated flood zones. And any sort of wetlands are submitted, and they are on the site plan for review. We look at the property is within a half mile of a property within the voluntary agriculture district. This would be required to be notated on the final plat, as well as also our subdivision reviews, and therefore provided to any future owners as it would be on the plat of record. We look at reasonableness and in the public interest. It could be considered reasonable because our future land use map designates the property as suburban growth, and residential 10 is a supporting zoning district to that category. Objective 1.2, we want to proactively manage growth and guide new development. There are several aspects of infrastructure in this area that would be able to support that growth. Objective 6.1, we want to promote a broad range of housing types. This would add certainly additional single family in that area of the county. And we'll look at non-supporting objectives. Objective 1.3, we want to preserve our rural landscape. Transitioning zoning from rural agriculture to residential does not necessarily preserve our rural landscape. And then as well, objective 2.4, we want to coordinate with Onslow County Schools. The high school is over capacity, and so that would be our limiting infrastructure in this area of the county. Planning Board met on June 4th and voted unanimously to recommend approval of the request. Excuse me, it says June 4th, it should have been March 5th. I'm sorry, there's a typo there. And no citizen spoke on the request, and no military impacts were presented. The remarks of the chairman of Planning Board is as follows. This rezoning request was previously submitted and was previously unanimously recommended for approval. It is a 117.19 acre property in the Richlands Township, currently zoned RA and R-8M, proposed to be conditional 10 and owned by Ward Construction. An amendment to the condition for sidewalks to specify that the sidewalks would be constructed in accordance with the Onslow County Subdivision Ordinance, Section 615, was agreed to by the petitioner. The rezoning was found to be consistent with the comprehensive plan and the future land use map. Here you can see the overall area. In this broader aerial look, you can see its proximity to other nearby neighborhoods such as Waverly Place there just to the south, as well as other existing residential homes. So we take a closer look there, you can see the property is currently vacant and forested, as well again as its proximity to some other existing residential development. You can see where we posted for tonight's meeting. A little bit of a wider look, and again, this was our required posting along Kinston Highway, but in an effort of, again, making sure the public is extra aware, we also posted where the property will have its secondary access off of Richlands Loop Road. And there's a wider look at where the property meets on Richlands Loop Road. Next, we'll take a look at the proposed subdivision. You can see there, again, they'll have an access on Kinston Highway as well as an access on Richlands Loop Road, as well as also the layout of the homes in relation to also the existing wetlands and the stormwater ponds. We'll take a look now at the proposed condition. So condition number 1, staff recommends that a conditional zoning site plan be submitted and reviewed through the major subdivision process to include concept plan, preliminary plat, and final plat. This is, again, standard for all subdivisions to make sure that it adheres to the Onslow County Subdivision Ordinance. Proposed condition number 2, that we will allow for minor amendments without resubmittal of the entire application. And again, only those amendments do not alter that basic relationship. Such as it's going through engineering, in the event that they had to decrease by 1 lot, that would not come back before this board, but they certainly could not add any additional lots. Look at condition number 3. The Onslow County Planning Board recommended that sidewalks shall be required to be installed as shown on the conditional site plan. And Planning Board, as mentioned in the chairman's comments, ensured that condition is added that it's going to reflect the standards in the Onslow County Subdivision Ordinance. Condition number 4. The applicant proposes to remove the 2-family residential and multifamily residential uses that would be typically permitted by right in the residential 10 district, and restrict the scope of development to 259 single-family dwellings. The R10 CZ 30-108 zoning district is proposed to require a recreational playground that would be installed to be served at to serve the residents of the development. And then condition number 6, that the proposed zoning district shall utilize infiltration basins as the approved stormwater control measures throughout the development, unless NCDEQ determined that an infiltration basin is not necessarily appropriate. But ensuring that as well, all stormwater would be retained on site. Thereby, if DEQ stated that a stormwater permit could be obtained by using other best management practices and other stormwater control measures, thereby maybe an infiltration basin could not be required. But as we do not do stormwater permitting, we want to make sure that we defer to an expert in that. So as respectfully requested, the Board of Commissioners considered the proposed conditional zoning map amendment of Series Z26, number 4. Consider the conditional resolution for the amendment, adopt a statement of consistency for the amendment, and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county. This concludes the staff presentation, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Metcalf. At this time, we will open the public hearing. Mr. Eaton, do we have anyone signed up to speak?
Yes, sir. We have 4 individuals. The first one is Roberta Linker.
Thank you. I hope you got the petitions that we brought in last month. One was a hand-carried petition and signed, and one was an online petition and signed. We don't feel like we have enough infrastructure to support 259 houses. I thought it was going to be about 220. Do the math. 2 cars per house. 2 cars per house with no children. All of that flow is going to go 2 ways, Kinston Highway, Richlands Loop. The roads already need repair. We're going to need 2 more traffic lights and probably extra flocks. So the schools are overcrowded. Been talking to the teachers, talking to the people in the area. We can't afford to have that many more houses. We don't need that subdivision. And I'm not sure our water table can handle it either. I know our wildlife can't. We need that wooded area for the wildlife. We've got bear and deer and skunks and fox and every other thing out there. I was coming home last week and a flock of turkeys suddenly just come across the street. I've lived there for 25 years. I see turkeys on the backside of my property, not on the road. So that means people are getting too close. More bear have been hit on the highway and on Gum Branch. They're running out of territory. What are we gonna do? Let people build more before we're ready for it? We're not developing the infrastructure before we continue the building. Think about it. 600 more cars. 400 minimum. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Linker. Mr. Eaton?
Yes, Mr. Jonathan Gosnell.
Good evening. I know this has been brought before you all before multiple times, so there's not much to add, same concerns. But again, not much to add. I don't know. Early on, when this was proposed, it was brought up how much it was designed to benefit the community, but I believe the community has spoken. Onslow County has denied it multiple times, so it is abundantly clear that this is in the best interest of the developer and not the community. And again, you guys know the concerns. They've been voiced multiple times, so I'll leave it at that.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Eaton?
Avery Washington.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Avery Washington, 209 Corey Court, Jacksonville. I wanted to speak positively about the project. I'm familiar with Mr. Ward, and from knowing him, I've had an opportunity to see him and the effort he's put into creating this community nearly from the beginning. And so I just, in part, because I know too much for my own good, I wanted to help create some awareness around some of the things that maybe folks don't know or don't see. All right, they mentioned briefly one of the conditions about stormwater control measures and stormwater ponds. One of the things that weren't mentioned is that in addition to all of those measures, there are thousands of linear feet of ditching across this community that are going to stay in place that also will assist in stormwater runoff. And that's a part of why I imagine some folks feel like there are wetlands getting impacted, but after being there for decades, the ground composition is not what they assume it is because it's a forested area. And there are concerns about infrastructure, but many times folks don't realize that developers are a huge part of who foots the bill to create new infrastructure faster than municipalities are otherwise capable of budgeting for and voting on and getting approved for. All right, so the traffic impacts are accounted for in a traffic impact analysis. The DOT dictates whether deceleration lanes are needed, how many egresses are required, traffic light improvements, stop signs, and that's going to be paid for by the developer unless he manages to negotiate otherwise. Something else that wasn't mentioned or was mentioned briefly is with regard to concerns about infrastructure is that this would be on sewer. But what wasn't highlighted is that there is a lift station that's currently significantly in poor condition or in degraded condition, that the developer would be subsidizing the cost of upgrading, one, in order to ensure it's not failing, and two, creating additional capacity that would allow connection throughout the commercial corridor that lift station is in close proximity to. Lastly, just being familiar with the developer and the builder that intends to be a part of creating a community there. There are a lot of folks who are coming into this market, and not to name any of them, but we've seen a few where they'll throw up the cheapest thing they can get away with and sell it for the highest price people can qualify for. And the builder who's interested in being a part of building out this community, right? We've seen Waverly Place. They're offering some of the highest quality homes in that price point that I'm seeing get built in this market. And I understand that folks are resistant to change, but this is one of the better sides of change that we're going to see from folks who are trying to be a part of the community's growth. I don't have any additional remarks. I appreciate you all's time.
Thank you, Mr. Washington. Mr. Eaton?
Yes, last person is Ricky Ward.
I got 5 minutes tonight. Well, I appreciate being able to speak on behalf of Richlands Heights again, and I appreciate everybody's concerns and comments. I'm sorry I didn't explain this maybe a little bit better the first go around, but and I also want to thank you for praying before we have a meeting. That really means a lot, and I appreciate that. Again, we're not maximizing the density of what I can do by right. After talking to the Onslow County Planning Department, we're actually scaling this thing way back from what I could do by right versus what they suggested I do, which is R10 zoning. They've also asked me again, which has already been highlighted, if I would put sidewalks in, and I agreed to that as well. This project is special to me because this is my hometown. This is where I grew up. I remember when Graham Cavanaugh was the mayor. I remember when Officer Burns was the only cop in town. So I've been here my whole entire life. And I'm going to do something nice for my community, nice for Onslow County, and for the city of Richlands where I grew up at. We're doing some single-family starter homes, which I think is a great idea. A lot of these developers right now, and I'm not kicking on these developers, but they're doing $400,000 to $500,000, $600,000 homes, and people can't afford it. So our young military folks and our first-time home buyers, they need somewhere to go, and I think Richlands is a great place to grow up. I've already got my stormwater permit in hand. I'm not trying to get it. That's been identified. I have my erosion control plan. The water's going to be contained on site. I think pretty much, as far as permitting, as far as what I think we should do, according to the planning department, we're working together to try to get this thing passed. I don't mind working with the city. I don't mind working with the county of Onslow, but every subdivision goes through the same kind of ordeal. Your stormwater is one of the hardest permits to get, and we've now achieved that. So what does that mean? That means that the Stormwater Division of North Carolina has looked at this plan, the grading plan, and recognized that we have met all their criteria to maximize where this water is going, how it's going to infiltrate the ground. So that permit is in hand. I've got like 25 notes. I'm not even reading off my paper. That's ridiculous. So that thing is checked off. Again, erosion control is checked off. We'll have our DOT permit by the end of this week. And I'm ready to go. So my hopes are that we can kind of work together as a community, as a county, and get this thing done. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Was that it, Mr. Eaton?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll close the public hearing and bring this matter to the commissioners.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir.
I just, go ahead.
No.
I just want to thank Mr. Ward for working so much with our planning board. I mean, you went through a lot of hoops with this Board of Commissioners and putting all these other particular sidewalks and playgrounds and the water staying on premises, which is legal, or whatever, I guess whatever you're told to do, basically by the deaner, I guess, is the one that can basically do what they need to do. But I want to thank you for all what you've done and what you're trying to do for the community, and you've done a lot. And I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate everyone's concern over this. When I look at one of these controversial rezonings, I have to look at the table of uses and think about what he could do with this property in the current zones. Mobile homes, duplexes, multifamily. There are a lot of uses that he could take advantage of. I don't know, that are a whole lot worse than some nice houses. And like Mr. Buchanan just said, he's jumped through a lot of hoops to make sure that he has met all the conditions that the commissioners and the planning staff have had a concern about. And Mr. Washington was correct. They are negotiating with Onwassa to upgrade the pump station, which will be a benefit for all of the community. So, yeah, I think that I am certainly in favor of this rezoning.
Commissioner Davis.
What did I do to you? Mr. Ward, I just want to confirm, so sidewalks, playground, or recreational space, and all the water is going to be contained on site? Because those are the three criticals, because I have friends over in that area, and I had to call one today to say that I'm probably going to vote for this. And I explained to your point, by right, what you could do. And so I want to, as Paul said, thank you for going the extra mile to make it a very nice development for your community. And I think and Brett, correct me if I'm wrong, but the community, we are not allowed to just stop development. I can't look at Mr. Ward, or we as a board can't look at Mr. Ward and say, you can't develop your land. But we do not have that right. Am I correct, Brett? Right? I mean, so we're in a way stuck between a rock and a hard place, but with what Mr. Ward's willing to do for the community to make this palatable, I just think it's fantastic. And I think we didn't understand on the last presentation a lot of what you were doing. So thank you, and thank you for being willing to go through the extra hoops, and thank you for being willing to be a blessing to your hometown.
Anyone else?
I just want to say thank you so much for wanting to do the right thing. Thank you.
Okay,
Mr. Carter.
just to make it like universal here. Oh, does he have a?
I'll give you, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you for your patience with us. I don't think that we really took it all in the first time either. And I do appreciate your sharing that you're from here and that you want to give back. That means a lot to me. My favorite thing, however, that I just learned from you tonight was that you're going to put starter homes in there. And I do agree with you. There is a bunch of people in this community who could not afford a home otherwise. So I really do appreciate that so much.
Mr. Metcalf, did you want to say something before I take us to the vote?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. So the sixth condition that we had on the record was a requirement for infiltration basins. So learning from Mr. Ward that he already has a stormwater permit issued by the Department of Environmental Quality that would contain all stormwater on site. We would like to revise that condition that's simply a stormwater permit from DEQ that adheres to that standard of all stormwater being contained on site.
That's easy.
Yep.
I didn't see the playground on there, just for, since you came up to the,
It was in the presentation.
was it in there?
It was in the
Okay.
presentation.
All right,
We will make sure that gets added to the site plan.
all right, thank you.
We expect to see Mr. Davis at the playground.
Hey, I love a good swing set, man.
I'll just close it out with this before we vote is I mentioned last time that the current zoning is RA and R8, which means whether this rezoning was approved or not, by right, as it's been stated, Mr. Ward could go ahead and build. RA, build whatever he wanted to in there. R8, a lot more of what he wanted to in there. And now moving the whole area, the R10, he's scaled it back. He's agreed to the conditional part of it, and he's wanting to put in, and I think the biggest point these folks have made is the starter homes is huge. That is huge, because you are right. When you look at the reavals that have happened, you see there's a whole lot of $400,000 and $500,000 homes here, and not a lot of $200,000, $150,000 homes that are here. So that's great that we're doing that, and people need homes. So with all that being said, I will ask us to cast our votes now, and all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. We'll move to item 5, the quarterly commissioner committee reports. Do we have any commissioners that have any reports tonight? And if we don't, that's okay, because we got a lot to go after this. So anyone want to share? Commissioner Carpenter is ready.
Always have to talk about the airport because it's our greatest asset, one of our greatest assets. Mitch is smiling back there. So we had our meeting last week, and the biggest thing that I love to share about is the runway extension and Highway 111 relocation project is steadily moving along, and I think everyone will be excited to know this because it's going to bring larger planes into our airport here. Should be completed by spring of 2027, which is, I think, fast, really fast. Now, doesn't mean they're going to be operational. The NCDOT oversees the operation of 111, and of course the FAA will say when it's okay to bless a plane coming in there. However, I just think that's fantastic. There's some really fun, we got to do a tour last week to see how it's all going to look, or generally how it's going to look, and I just think it's fantastic that we are going to have an iconic tree-lined drive as you come into the airport, which will be beautiful. They're really not cutting down as many trees out there as you might expect, so it's just going to be a really beautiful end to a long project here. Fun facts, they are going to, in this project, move 160,000 cubic yards of total soil. They're going to add 1.43 miles of water and sewer lines and 9.2 miles of electrical cabling installed for the project too. So those are some huge numbers just to, well, not just to, but to add on to this runway. And I think it's fantastic. The other thing I love about this airport that we have, which is so wonderful, Sandra Jansen, who is kind of behind the scenes, but she always does a really great report about what's going on at the airport. And one of the things that she brought up at the meeting was the fact that we're such a friendly airport that there's 2 different organizations, Paws of War Training and Canines for Service, who are both going to be bringing their projects to OAJ to, work on training dogs that we can use the service. And I think that's fantastic from other regional airports here who are not quite as friendly as we are. So yay for us. Thank you, Albert J. Ellis Airport and staff.
Thank you, Mr. Carpenter. Anyone
Yes.
else?
I've got to talk about Onwassa.
Always has water.
I don't know if you'll let me on the microphone, but yeah, Onwassa continues to grow. We're over 60,700.
It's not coming up.
I guess they can hear me here. They won't hear me on the TV, right? But we're over 60,792. Get me, will it work?
Come this way.
Oh, thank you.
There we go.
All right, technical difficulties. So Onwassa continues to grow with over 60,792 water customers, over 15,000 sewer customers. We have a 10-year capital plan in excess of $500 million. And just real quick, the Highway 24 pipeline project has been completed.
Wow.
It's in the final testing stages and should be operational very soon, within a month, they tell me. The base letter that we all approved has been approved by almost all of our local governments and will be transmitted to the base. The Southeast Wastewater Treatment Plant expansion is in process to serve the Holly Ridge and Sneads Ferry areas. The Summer House wastewater treatment expansion is completed and should be operational soon. This to serve Holly Ridge. We're working on wells in Camp Davis Industrial Park and a state grant to build a water tower in Holly Ridge and the expansion of the Dixon water treatment plant from 4 to 6 million gallons a day. Treatment capacity is in the process. So that's just a part of what's going on in Onwassa, trying to keep up with this wonderful growth that we have. And we certainly don't want water and sewer to be a detriment to our growth.
How about the Swansboro? Okay, is that open and running now?
That is, yeah, the Swansboro pipeline is expected to go online in the next 30 days as soon as all the testing is done. And there'll actually be wastewater flowing from Swansboro to Piney Green. A good thing.
Could you expound on the letter?
On the letter?
Yes.
All of the municipalities except, I think, Jacksonville, and I just checked this morning, and the best I could tell, Jacksonville has not signed on.
What's the purpose of the letter?
Oh, I'm sorry. The purpose of the letter the purpose of the letter is to get the 3.5 million gallons per day of wastewater treatment to the Lejeune plant that was promised to us 10 years ago or more. It also asks for, if we can't get that capacity, for federal funding for a new wastewater treatment plant somewhere in the Hubert area, and or also the approval of the pipeline from Sneads Ferry to French Creek, the Marine Corps base, that was approved years ago and then rejected after that, to get that reapproved, because we've already spent about $200,000 engineering that pipeline before they pulled it out from under us.
And how much was the pipeline from Swansboro to Piney Green?
That ran about $35 million now, I think. I don't have the final numbers, but yeah, we spent that money very specifically because we thought we would be able to have that effluent treated on the base. So thank you for the questions.
First thing, Commissioner Davis, any more questions?
I just want the public to hear what we're fighting for.
That's right.
Because you are the head of that, being the chairman and being a commissioner. You're fighting on our behalf to have a contract fulfilled that the base is not fulfilling.
Absolutely. We thank you for your help.
Absolutely. Any others?
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
You spoke first. Go ahead.
I just want to say the Fishery Commission,
we're still active, moving forward. Our chairman, Bob Woodard, will be in Raleigh Thursday and Friday, fight for our rights to fish, continue to fish for our community, and then we'll meet again next month back in Moorhead. So just to let everyone know, we're fighting hard as we can to be able to protect the industry that's been here a long, long time. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Davis?
All right, yeah, and I just want to, the Onslow Memorial Hospital Board, just make sure if you haven't heard that the partnership with UNC Chapel Hill is in place. It's a 3-phase process. So we look forward to that growth and that relationship with Chapel Hill. Brett, please stop me if I start to go off on something confidential. I think I'm good here. But so I'm excited, and we're excited to see Chapel Hill Medicine, UNC Medicine, being a part of our community hospital, and with a long-term vision of it being a UNC hospital. So that's exciting opportunity for Onslow County, and so thankful for this board that worked hard to make that happen, as well as the Onslow Hospital Board. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. I sit there with the Beach Inlet Sound Committee with Mayor Rick Grant. A lot of work going on down on North Topsail Beach and down in Surf City as well, because I believe Surf City signed a big contract today, historical, to take care of our 11 and a half miles of beach. And then there's the other 14 miles or 15 miles there of Topsail Island. And we know how important that is to Onslow County. That's we consider that Onslow County's beach, and we are appreciating the work we're doing with North Topsail Beach Town Alderman and their mayor. Also work down on the Topsail Island shoreline protection, doing a lot of work on the oyster leases that are going on. That seems to all come to Onslow and Pender County because we're the only ones without a moratorium. We believe everyone should be able to go out and get their oysters, but we don't think everybody in eastern North Carolina should come to our waterways. We need to share the oyster love throughout eastern North Carolina. The other is we meet quarterly. County manager, myself, along with the municipal mayors and their city managers or town managers, and we have extended the invitation. We also have the Onwassa chairman and the CEO of Onwassa joins us as well. And we have extended the invitation to the superintendent and the chairman of the Board of Education to join us in those conversations and discussions as well, because all of those entities are so integral to the success of Onslow County. We want to bring everybody to that table as we continue to work and address the needs of Onslow County as a whole. So with that being said, I would say we're going to move into item 6, the quarterly financial report, but I've had a request for about a 8-minute recess or break, and we'll be back in about 8 minutes. And I just chose 8 minutes because it sounded good. All right, we will resume the commissioners' meeting for this evening, and we'll move to item 6. And our Chief Finance Officer, Mr. Kevin Patterson, will provide the board with a brief presentation on our quarterly financial report. And it says brief in the agenda here, Mr. Patterson.
So the entire 97 slide deck? Well, I mean, I'm not sure where my slides are. Okay. Well, I'll go with the slides because you do have access to them. I'll get to them here in a second. But with these, we did prepare the numbers for the June 30th, but they are as of August 5th. So we do have accounts payable are still open for accrual through the end of August. Most of those are already in. We do have sales tax revenues that are not in yet. We will receive notification. Actually, we should have received notification on how much sales tax we'll receive in this month, this week. But we still have August and September sales tax to accrue as well. So with that right now, on a modified cash basis in the general fund, we have brought in $331 million of revenues. We have $348 million of expenditures on a $408 million total budget. That is in negative by $16 million. We do expect to accrue approximately $13 million in sales taxes that we have not received yet, but that will be in August and September. We also have transfers that we have not made because we're waiting for the final accruals for payables. As I said back during the workshops, we will use fund balance. Right now, our appropriated fund balance is in excess of $20 million, but we will use fund balance in under $5 million. But again, this is part of a multi-year strategy, so next year we should be adopting a budget that would add to fund balance. This year, the 27 fiscal year is an anomaly, but next year we will back into a 4-year pattern. Okay, and again, just putting these in numbers, we are showing what our actual utilization is as far as revenues. You will see our tax revenue is not quite where it was because that is the sales tax that we have not accrued. Right now, we will be within $1 million of our budgeted sales tax, depending on where those final numbers come in, which will be actually putting us on par with where we were last year. Our financing sources, we have a significant increase in budget over actual financing sources. A lot of that came with the refinancing that we did this past year because we refinanced an existing bond, which really shows up as a budgetary item only because that is an income, that is a transfer in and a transfer out, which we never received. So it is not an actual, it is a financial transaction, but it is not a cash transaction. So that shows up only on a full accrual method. So that's the big reason for the major difference in the financial services sources. Again, also looking at our property taxes at June 30th, we did exceed our budget collections where our property tax collections increased by $5 million over 2025. And we did budget $145 million in revenues and collected $148 million. And again, we are right at an $86 million budget. We will be probably around $85 million in total collections. And again, just showing that demographic, we are probably on task for marking very close proximity to where we were last year in tax revenues, And some of that is probably more due to changes in the total economy. And again, just showing in where the category by functional spend, where most of our money goes. And of course, the largest single area is, of course, education, followed by public safety. And with that, when you look at functional codes, 81% of our total budget goes to education, followed by public safety and human services. Looking at solid waste, of course, again, these numbers are as of 8/5/25. These also do not have the accruals in here. This is still on a modified cash basis, but we will have depreciation, post-closure costs to be accrued into this, so that $3.4 million current positive operation is going to drop significantly. But operations are showing a very positive trend. The airport, the current numbers actually do put them in an operational deficit, but then again, that is because we have not made the accruals. They have a large amount of grant dollars that we have received, but they show as unearned. We have not booked those as earned revenues, so we do expect this to be pushed back to a neutral position, similar as it was last year. So it is a matter that the airport is covering its own cost without support from the general fund or property taxes. For the grant report, of course, the county has accepted $11 million in total grant funding through fiscal year 26. Right now, we have just in the fourth quarter, we accepted another approximately $1.3 million of grants for solid waste, sheriff's, airport. We do have 5 grants that are still outstanding for $25 million. One of those is primarily for public safety. It is for a new EMS station and backup 911 center. This is an extremely competitive grant, and this will most likely be our first of multiple applications for this grant process. Also, the one thing that is that I do want to brag about a little bit for the county is we did actually close out Hurricane Francis and Hurricane Matthew's FEMA reports. Yay. And that was $73,000 that we were finally able to get closeout with FEMA on in under a decade, 9 years. You have any questions?
No questions, but we'll let you stick around.
Okay. The next item, and does not have slides to it, is the budget amendments. You have 2 budget amendments before you tonight, Budget Amendment 9 and 10. The first 9 is for, this is the debt service payment for Half Moon. They were not, we did not give them the money last year because they did not sign their contract. They have signed both an extension and a full year's contract. So this first amendment, Budget Amendment 9, would be for $57,272, which is the debt service for the 26th fiscal year for a debt payment for a fire truck that they have. The second budget amendment, Budget Amendment 10, is for Piney Green, and this is a similar situation. We do have a signed 1-year contract with Piney Green, so we're requesting the carry forward of $304,615 for the debt service payment on their new fire station, as well as for a fire truck. These are just for debt service payments. These do not offset any operational costs that may or may not have been covered under the temporary funding from last year. So we would request the board approve those budget amendments.
Motion to approve.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, yeah, since I didn't get the motion or a second, I was too slow, but I do want to defend this board. This debt service payments, this board had originally requested that those be made, and personnel that are no longer here made some unilateral decisions that didn't happen. So this board made sure that that was rectified, and I also want to thank all the fire departments and Brett and Paul, and I'm probably leaving out Lisa and Tony for their hard work and time, just amount of time. It's probably can't be counted how many hours y'all put in to work with the fire departments. And so I want to say thank you to this board for going that extra mile to make sure all this worked out and got the water smooth. And we have complete fire service through this county, and the fire departments are all working. And I think, if I remember right, they're all going to get more money than was originally even expected by any of us, because of the formulas that which would be complemented back to you, Kevin, you and
That would go back
thank
to
you.
Bradley.
Thank you. So anyway, I just wanted to put some praise out to this board and to the staff for making a very difficult situation really come together, and I think everybody was pleased on both sides.
Well, John, one other added to that too, Kevin, is that we thought there was $3 million, and now we find out we got $6 million sitting there that we can take care of our fire, talking about apparatus and engines and all. We found that out here recently. We thought there was 3, but there was still 3 from last year that was being put aside. Correct, Kevin? Mm-hmm. Thank you, sir.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah, we need to vote, I think.
Yeah, we got to vote, and it's always good, because when they call 911 and the house is on fire, you want somebody there. And we are assuring that the volunteer firemen and women of Onslow County are adequately funded to take care of the citizens. So with that being said, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Patterson, keep on keeping on.
Yeah. The next item is change order number 1 for the Bear Creek Fire Station. These are changes due to inflationary costs of the delay from when the contract was executed to when we finally got clearance through DEQ and were able to get a notice to proceed on the project. Also, a large part of these go back to a vendor. This was not that vendor's change order, but these are issues that are changed significantly because of adjustments had to be made to the erosion control plans and the discharge permits through DEQ, as well as there is an additional paving. DOT is upgrading at the intersection that we would originally been able to tap onto a line and patch. Now, since they have upgraded that intersection, we would have to tap onto the line and then repave the intersection itself. So we would request that the approval of the change order. We are also currently working on change order number 2, which is going to be a credit back to us, so a reduction in the price. And these are modifications led by the county, and that will offset significantly, if not all, of these costs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I want to reach out to Janelle there and the staff because this was a nightmare to start with. We didn't know, the commissioners were brought up to speed, months ago when there was problems with this project, and we had no idea what was wrong with the project until Janelle and staff and the attorney all got involved, and we got it squared away, and now we're moving forward. I want to thank you, Janelle, and the staff, and Britt for getting on that thing pretty tight, because it was kind of a mess there for a while. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Mr. Patterson?
The next item is the project ordinance for the EMS construction. These would be the construction for the EMS stations at Onslow Pines and Midway Park. We had, last meeting, you did approve the contract to design the projects, to design these stations. This would be to actually allow us to move forward with ultimately the construction. Before any of that happens, the construction contract will come back to the board with a maximum price guarantee. We are also working on a third site, which is we are working in the Sneads Ferry area with Onslow. They have actually identified another piece of property that is not at their treatment facility, which we think may be a better location. And we are going to do the environmental on that property to make sure it is amenable. Once that site is determined, we would go back and bring an amendment to this project ordinance allowing for that third station. It will be the same design for each of the three stations. The only difference will be the civil engineering and the actual location of the design on the property itself.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
The last project ordinance is for the Southern Elementary School. This would be an elementary school that will be built in the Holly Ridge area. Property has been identified and is in negotiations, which have been extremely complicated, but we do believe that they are coming to an end with a positive outcome. This project ordinance would allow for the construction of a new elementary school for $49,818,000. The goal of this project is to go out to bid in late winter, January or February, so we can start. And it was brought out that it would to go out to bid so we can issue a contract by April of 27. So it would be available for the August 29 school year. My fingers were overly optimistic when typing because it is a 2-year construction window for schools. But this object would allow us the ability to move forward with that project. As we get closer, I've already worked with our bond attorney that he will be drafting a refunding resolution. So we will bring a refunding resolution back to the board by the time the final contract is for the purchase of the land is required. So I request approval of the project ordinance for the schools.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got some. Before I had the workshop today, I was going to vote against this. And I have a lot of questions, and you answered my questions for me, Kevin, at a workshop. I won't go in any of those because I still have a little bit of concern, being that I sat in some meetings back in 2025, but I'm going to go ahead and vote for this, and I just hope it all comes to fruition because I have some concerns. I just want the board to know that, and but I'm going to ahead and we'll vote for it today. But earlier, if you hadn't answered my questions, I wouldn't have voted for it.
Anybody else?
I'm going to agree with Paul. I have reservations and more of how it all happened, but I think it's the right thing to do to move forward. My other request would be, I think last year, and it was maybe about this time, we had done a plan of what the school system was looking to build and when. I think it would be appropriate to see that again because I think we're definitely getting some public concern about how expedient that we're moving forward in building schools and getting that done and meeting capacity. So that'd be my request is that we get that scheduled again as well.
Agree. Thank you, John.
Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you. I hope that was quick enough.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Now, Mr. Sprunger is going to come up, and he's going to stay up here for a few minutes with us. So he's got quite a few. And catch your breath and take off there,
Yeah,
Mitch.
try to make it as quick as possible.
I mean, we could actually give him grief for once. He's in the negative. We never get to give Mitch grief about anything.
Not his control.
First item for your consideration is the A-Rink lease. What this is, it's a in-flight communication system that the airlines use out of OAJ. It's a computer in the IT closet in the executive terminal with a small antenna on the roof. It's been out there for the last 2 decades. Both airlines use it, and it's just a simple 5-year lease renewal. So it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the 5-year lease agreement and authorize the chairman to execute the A-Rink lease agreement on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
All right, the next is for the snow removal equipment facility. This is a deductive change order for the project. It is now completed. We had an owner's contingency for the project that was over $100,000, which we did not have to use. So we're looking to reconcile that. That was with NCAIP state grant dollars. So we're going to bring it back in and hopefully use it for the entry road design in the parking lot that's coming up. So with that, it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the Bobbitt Construction Deductive Change Order 9 in the amount of $125,277.11 and authorize the chairman to sign the change order 9 on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
All right. Next 2 items are related. This is for the airport entrance road that Lisa described for the Phase 3 design of that road for our airport runway expansion project. So Phase 1 is the runway extension, Phase 2 highway relocation, and this will be for the entry road design. So full design documents, erosion control permits, stormwater permitting, as well as bidding. And then there are some construction components for this. It's also going to include the monument sign at the intersection of the highway and the entry road. Demolition, there's a building out there right now that needs to be removed for the entry road. And also some site grading for the entry road itself. And the other thing to note, the runway and highway, that was primarily funded by state funds. This will be with federal grant dollars for this project, which I'll bring that to the next Board of Commissioners meeting. So with that, it's respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the airport entrance road project ordinance and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
And the last piece is task order number 5 with RS&H. So this is the task order that will design that entry roadway for us. We have a 5-year contract in place with RS&H. We're on year 4 of that contract. So they've designed the runway and the highway, and now they're doing this. Thing of notes, for this price point, you have to do an independent fee review. Confirm it's a good value on the project, and it was in fact confirmed. So with that, it is respectfully requested that the Board of Commissioners approve the RS&H task order number 5 in the amount of $413,229 and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second. Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Catch your breath, and we'll let Bradley Kinlaw come up for the next 2. And we don't have as many for him, so he won't be as tired as Kevin and Mitch were.
Just make a motion and we'll just do it all right here and be done.
Listen to you.
So moved.
Good evening. We'll start with item, was Cape Fear Community College, I bring before you tonight an educational affiliation agreement between us, our EMS system, and the Cape Fear Community College, a 10-year agreement that allows their students to ride on our trucks to get their clinical time to finish their medical programs, paramedic program or basic program. We do this with all the colleges around us for the most part, and it's just time for this one to be renewed. No financial strings attached to it. I respectfully request that you approve it, this educational affiliation agreement between the county EMS system and the Cape Fear Community College, and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion?
Free help.
Go ahead, sir.
Free help.
They do, yes, sir. They get on our truck and they do procedures, and we train, help finish their training, and they do provide manpower and assistance when needed.
What's the retention, recruiting retention when we have students riding with us?
Wonderful. I mean, it's good. It's positive. It gives us them a chance to see our system in and out, so there's no surprises if they do want to join us full time. And it's just a great opportunity to get people in. So the more trucks we get on the road, the more availability we have, the more slots we have available on each shift for these students from all these areas to come in. So it's been a great recruiting program so far.
Outstanding. All right. No further discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Secondly, item J, I bring before you tonight a reciprocal mutual aid agreement with County EMS and Western Carteret Fire and EMS. Chief Kane and their chief has spent a lot of time over the last couple months refining a very old agreement, most of which was verbal, into something substantial. We made a lot of improvements in this version. Listed in this agreement are the type of calls that we both agreed will help each other, the more serious calls, with the option of reaching out and asking for additional calls that are not on the list, but they would not take a high priority. They did agree to expand their coverage in Onslow County, I think all the way up to Highway 172. So we're very thankful for that, and we reciprocated that, and I'm not sure where that boundary is in Carteret, but we tried to make it a very fair agreement, or the chiefs did when they were negotiating, and very, very proud of this and the work they've done to formalize our partnership and help each other out in a more professional and organized way. I respectfully request the board to approve the reciprocal mutual aid agreement between Onslow County EMS and Western Carteret Fire and EMS, and authorize the chairman to sign the necessary documents on behalf of the county.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, hearing none, motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Kendall, appreciate it. We'll move right to item 10, manager comments. Mr. Eaton?
Yes, I'll be brief, but I would like to express my appreciation to the volunteer fire department as well. The chiefs that came together, provided feedback, very open and honest, great dialogue. Specifically, I'd like to highlight Chief Ricky Hardison, Chief J.R. Marks, and Chief Joe Williams. They welcomed me into their stations, sat with them, heard from them during this process, and really look forward to some more great dialogue moving throughout this year as we meet much more regularly, and all of us have the desire for better communication is where we want to start. And so I'm really excited about where things are and moving forward. Want to thank those guys as well as all the chiefs, and then also obviously Bradley, Janelle, Assistant County Manager, and Kevin Patterson, our Chief Financial Officer, all the work that they've done. Lastly, August 28th, 10 a.m. is the flag raising ceremony honoring the 50th anniversary of Onslow Pines Park and the Parks and Recreation Department, and certainly welcome everybody to come out and celebrate with us. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Eaton. We'll start. Commissioner Padgett, you want to start us tonight, and we'll work our way to the other end?
I'll be brief.
Yes, sir.
Thank y'all for coming. Have a good night.
Commissioner Davis, beat that.
No, I don't know that I'm going to beat that tonight. I believe, that, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, it's Mr. Hart that spoke earlier, H-A-R-T, is that correct? Okay, and I appreciate he's come like the last 2 or 3 times and spoken about our priorities. I feel, and I think the rest of the board agrees with me, that although to his defense, he's reading the priorities as they are listed in our document. I think if you talk to anybody on this board, the 3 things that happen to be the 1, 2, and 3 on this priority list are not our 1, 2, and 3s. And we had a meeting not too long after he said that the first time. And I would argue, and the board can correct me, but I think I'm going to be pretty accurate here. You know, this board is focused on the EMS, it's been focused on our sheriff's department, it's been focused on managing growth and keeping lower taxes. And I may have missed a couple, but I think that's been our overall apparatus in our meetings, and how do we meet those priorities. These things that come out of the strategic documents are, yes, they're priorities, but they're priorities in a strategic document. There's things that we want to do, but they're not what we focus on in every meeting. We are very focused, and Mr. Kinlaw, that I failed to remember your name a few minutes ago, is evidence of what we've been all working very hard on and in improving our EMS. And we've got 2 buildings getting ready to get started. He's hired 44 people in the last 2 months, 3 months. Yeah, but he is working hard to get people hired and trained and bringing innovative ideas to our emergency services side. And so those are the type things that we are focused on priority-wise. Now, with all that said, Mr. Hart, I agree with you on the taxes. We need to stay focused on what can we do to lower our taxes and keep them. For me, I'm a net zero. I drive Kevin crazy because I like net zero. I want it to be, I want natural growth from this, you know, from where we are, because I think we have plenty of money, plenty of revenue coming in. Daniel, who he is the ringleader for Hubert United with the cameras. I hesitate to say that I agree with him, but I definitely am in agreement with him in understanding these cameras. I want to understand, and I may have even voted for them. I'm not even going to hide that, but I want to understand what we voted for, and maybe there were some things that we didn't understand at the time when we voted for them. So I'm definitely putting that back to you and Brett with understanding that, because I am definitely not liking what I'm reading and hearing about these cameras and the things that they can do and how they can be abused. And I do compliment my fellow commissioner, Mrs. Carpenter, for keeping me on my toes with that, because I tend to lean on the side of the police. I like the blue, but at the same time, you know, we have a constitution, so you have to find that fine balance. Ms. Cooper, I think I saw you in the hallway, but again, well spoken, and thank you. And that's my brief.
Davis. Commissioner Carpenter.
Just to echo a little bit about what John said with Mr. Cornell and Ms. Cooper, I thank you for coming and talking about the flock cameras. I don't think any of us here do not appreciate and respect the blue. We definitely do. And when it's in the right hands, you know, tools can be used for good, and when it's not in the right hands, they can be used for ill, as we've already seen. And so the possibility of that is what is scary to me. And I will continue, as John was saying, we're going to continue to find out more about what is involved here locally in our community with them, and do what we can to affect, you know, the proper usage of them if that's what we need to do. So anyway, have a great week. Thank you for coming to a long meeting and staying.
Thank you, Commissioner Carpenter. Commissioner Buchanan.
I wasn't going to say anything, but they're not flock cameras. You need to understand that they're not flock cameras. They're a different type of a camera, and they're made by a different company. They're not flock cameras. And it seems like everybody in here wants to say they're flock cameras. They're not. So what you need to do is get
Say that one more time.
No, I'll pass. But you need to get educated on it. I'm seriously, they're not that. And what they do is they just read a license tag and that's all they do. You can't Bluetooth them. You can say what you want, but you can't. There's a lot of things you need to learn about these cameras that the sheriff's using, and he said he would come to us at a meeting and tell us all about these cameras. And they're made by a different company, but they're not the ones that everybody's claiming all over the country. They're not those. They're totally different. On a second hand, I want to thank Lisa and Tony and this board for allowing the three of us to work with the fire people, all the volunteer firefighters. I mean, it took us a long time to get to where we are today. I want to thank Steve. You met with us, with the three of us, and JR and Ricky. And we had a meeting over at, in fact, we were over there at the station, JR station over there at Roadstown, and we had a really good meeting. A lot of things came out of that. Kevin was there also, and Kevin gave us some information that we didn't know. We know it now. We're going to move forward on that. But the second thing is, Steve, what you did was to, we had this first meeting with the three of us with all of you, but we won't be there next time. This is all with you and staff. Ricky and them asked for us to be at the first meeting, but now you're going to meet with them once a month. The transparency with our firefighters, it means so much to me. I mean, we've worked so hard, the three of us, and the board allowing us three to do that. And I want to thank the board for that. And I want to thank you guys that are working hard to keep it going, because it's working. Right now it is working. I can tell you 2 years ago, and both my two members on the board can tell you, it was a nightmare for us. It was pretty tough trying to get these contracts signed. And we are in a better place, and we're going to get better. We're going to get more transparency with the volunteer firefighters. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Mr. Buchanan. Commissioner Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I want to thank our volunteer fire departments too. I appreciate all the efforts that y'all have made, some of us have made to get these contracts in place. The contracts that protect our taxpayers and support our volunteer fire departments. And I appreciate y'all for your work on all of that. Commissioner Davis kind of stole my thunder there, because I was going to say tonight's meeting demonstrates that our priorities are fire service and EMS and schools and other things besides the few recreation issues that people keep wanting to bring up. And I would note that none of these issues have we spent any money on at this point. And the process of spending money is quite arduous. We'll have project ordinances and contracts, and it'll go through this board several times before we actually spend any money on these projects. But they're things that have been on our priority list for several years. And I think many of us would like to see some of these projects come to fruition. And for those who are concerned about the increase in our budget, and that concerns all of us, I think, but I have to note that we just passed a budget an ordinance to build a $49,818,000 elementary school that in 2020 cost us $19 million. $19 million, that's over twice, over double. And I would argue that all of our expenses in the county have doubled or more over the last 8 years. So while we work very hard to keep our costs down and to not overtax anybody, we can't help the costs that go up constantly. And we struggle every budget year to make the limited funds that we have work for everybody in Onslow County. So I appreciate everybody's concern, and I too have those concerns. I often say, every time somebody comes to me and says, why don't we do this, why don't we do that, the first thing that goes through my head is, how much is it going to cost the taxpayers? I have in the 22 values that we're using now, a penny of taxes generates about $2.1 million. And so my first thought is, if we do this Who's willing to pay 1 penny of their property taxes to do it? Are you willing to pay 2 pennies? I pay property taxes just like everybody else out there, and I don't want to pay any more than I have to. But I have to weigh whether or not these projects are worth it to the 218,000 citizens that we serve in Onslow County. And I'll continue to do that for as long as you let me. Thank you. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Commissioner Bennett. First, I want to reiterate the August 28th, 50th anniversary of Onslow Pines Park. That should be a great morning. I might even get to see some pictures of a 12 or 13-year-old Tim Foster in a baseball uniform out at Onslow Pines Park. Probably not very recognizable. It's probably about 100 pounds smaller than what it is now, but it's a great celebration of Parks and Rec and how important it is to communities when they open that park in 1976, and then the parks that have come since. Parks and Rec is a huge resource for the community. It's not one that's built to make money. It's built to build quality of life, and that's what's so important about Parks and Recreation. The other part is we talk about our budget, and our budget, 19% of that budget is where it's not mandated, and Parks and Rec falls underneath that. There's other services and things that falls underneath that 19% of our budget. The 81% of our budget, 81% of our budget goes to, as Mr. Patterson mentioned, it's our health and human resources, public safety, and education. And I'm just going to take the health and human services out of it and talk about Coastal Carolina Community College and Onslow County Schools. Those two things are the one item in our budget that creates opportunity for everybody in the county. Every kid that's born here, moves here, goes through our educational system, K-12, then they have the opportunity to attend one of the strongest community colleges in North Carolina at a very reduced rate as compared to starting off at a 4-year university. So those establishments, those entities provide the opportunity for everyone to get an education and give them opportunity in life, whether it's in Onslow County or if they choose to go away, but we hope that they'll continue to stay here. And those two things also fall into the next part, is that we have 215,000 people in Onslow County. And having been a history teacher for many years, you teach history, and what happens when growth in an area continues at an unprecedented rate, what increases? Fires and emergencies and crime. So what are the things that we have to do to address that? Fire service, sheriff's office, and EMS. So those are things that make up the budget for Onslow County, from education to public safety to health and human services. And the one thing that I'm sure of, that there's no one sitting in the room tonight, whenever you dial those three numbers, 911, how important it is for someone to answer and for someone to respond. And for someone to answer and for someone to respond, it is necessary for them to complete their education. It is a cycle, and it has to be completed and completed together. When you invest in your community, you invest in your future. With that being said, never apologize for your faith or your patriotism. We're adjourned.